Our girl Navia is absolutely one of the best Geo DPS character out there, and I just love playing around with her. It's been a while since she's been out, and definitely there has been some updated teams regarding Navia, which is why we're having today's video. So basically, some of the few important notes regarding Navia is that she's a Geo DPS character that scales off of attack, where she has the ability to turn crystallized shots into bullets so that she can shoot off huge E-skill nuke. Now, even though she is a Geo DPS, what's special about Navia is that she technically doesn't feel like a Geo DPS, as most of the previous Geo DPS character works more or less in a Geo team, while Navia specializes more in terms of different elemental reaction teams to react with a Geo so that she gets crystallized reaction for her shrapnel bullet. She also has access to Geo infusion, which is nice, therefore her on-field DPS gameplay is rather viable as well. But the thing about Navia is that since most of her damage does rely on her E skill, it is rather important to try and max out your shrapnel stack before you use it, and plus it can miss, so do aim it well before you release. Do note that her elemental burst is rather important, so having great uptime for it is kind of nice. Now her elemental burst doesn't really require you too many energy, roughly around 120% above is generally fine, since you're generally going to be having another Geo character on Navia team anyway to help her with energy regen, so that should be generally fine. Now, as we have already mentioned, she is a character that loves to have different element character to be as a support character for especially sub DPS character, mainly character like Farina. Recently we've got Mavuika, Fischl, Shangling, Auron. Those kind of character can be nice. Geo teammate, usually she's going to be running alongside with another Geo teammates. But then recently we've got access to Shilonen, which obviously in combination with all of the character that has been released up until this point, there has been quite a lot of new team comps introduced for Navia, in which let's touch on some of the best Navia teams comp we have to date. First team, we're going to be having a team regarding Navia, Bennett, Mavuika, and Shilonen. This is one of the best Navia teams that we have out there, especially to deal with the current Abyss, where there are a lot of Hydro enemies, with the Abyss actually favoring Navia quite a bit. Now, even if it's not, this team does have both Geo and Pyro Resonance, which actually increase you quite a lot. Shilonen, of course, is the newly introduced Geo character that's absolutely amazing for Navia, since with all the Resistance Shred, healing, and Cinder City buff that Shilonen is capable of doing. But then Mavuika is also a very special character, because not only is she able to do DPS damage for this specific team, but Mavuika also has the ability to support your other on-field character because of her passive, which is rather interesting. And on top of that, she does have a bit of off-field pyro damage from her E skill, and then Bennett obviously is there to do Bennett things as always. Now obviously if you don't have Shilonen, Zhongli is always going to be a very good option, so you can opt for him if you want to. However, if you do have a Mavuika on this specific team, generally Shilonen is quite important so that you can charge the fighting spirit stat for your Mavuika to actually have better elemental burst uptime. However, if you don't have Shilonen, then generally Mavuika is just going to be a support character that holds Cinder City set for this specific team. Another team we have is going to be running alongside with Farina, Shilonen, and Bennett. Another variation of this if you don't have a Mavuika team, considering how powerful Farina is as a character, and alongside with his sub DPS capability, she's always has been a very good supportive character for Navia. A very simple team to run as always. Again, Zhongli can always be an option here if you want to, so generally that would be fine. Now, with that being said, with the introduction of Escoffier as well, there is a potential team that we have been running with Navia. I've been using it quite a lot, and I feel that it's a very comfy team for her as well, where you run with Escoffier, Shilonen, and a Farina. As Escoffier is a character that is not only a good supportive character, she has access to very good sub DPS capability, and moreover she heals your whole team. That does support Farina with her sub DPS damage, since most of the time your team members always going to have their HP above 50%. And on top of that, even though Escoffier won't be able to get a lot of resistance shred from her passive, you're still going to be having a 10% resistance shred for both Hydro and Cryo. Therefore, Farina and Escoffier will also be able to do very good sub DPS number for you. So again, it is a very comfy team. If you do have an Escoffier on your account and you want to have a mix up of Escoffier team, Navia team is going to be ready to be using her. Other than that, a very special team that I've been using for Navia for a very long time is a Xianyun plunge team comp for Navia that goes along with Xianyun, Furina, and Yelan. If you want to, you can technically have Xilonen in Yelan's place, but usually I prefer having Yelan as it does provide a HP resonance for Furina, and Yelan also have that passive ability of buffing your on-field character, which is rather nice. This plunging comps is fun because you're generally going to be having an on-field Navia that does weave in her normal attack shield, and alongside with that does activate Yelan elemental burst off of it. And Xianyun is a very fun character to open up more team comps, and having a plunge Navia just feels really great since Navia plunging animation is very fun to look at. Some other hybrid team where we usually have another DPS character that you guys can consider. It's not a very popular teams, but does open up a slightly more team comp options for mix and match if you're going up either the Imaginarium Theater or you're having a little bit of trouble in the Abyss. Now first off, it's going to be the Noelle comp where you have Noelle, Navia, Yelan, and Furina. More or less going to be a, kind of like a free-to-play comp since most of us don't use Noelle. But Noelle is a special character since obviously she does damage if you invest into her. However, she actually heals your whole team as well, which is interesting for a Noelle as a character, which does help Furina to have your whole team HP above 50% for Furina to deal more damage, and HP resonance with Yelan. Still be able to deal damage here and there, and Navia is going to be more or less a nuke E-skill character for a quick swap kind of gameplay. Obviously not the best out there, but it does work if you really want to try it out. Another hybrid team is generally going to be a Hu Tao or Arlecchino team. Sometimes I have more Hu Tao here, as Hu Tao is more comfy with Navia, Yelan, and Zhongli. Interesting team for us to run around with. You can always swap out Xilonen with Zhongli so that it heals a little bit more for your team. Then as you have guessed it, Navia is going to be a quick switching role whenever Hu Tao is on downtime, so that's going to be a team that you guys can consider as well. Now if you are earlier into the game, you don't really have a lot of different character to build with, then a free-to-play budget option for Navia has always been a Xiangling Bennett and a flex slot in the end. Usually we're just going to be having characters such as Fischl if you have access to her, or even better if you do have Auroron, then yes, you can use him on a Cinder City set, while he's also able to apply Electro off-field and do a bit of damage for you right there, which is a really nice team for you to consider as a free-to-play options. So those guys I think are some of the more updated team comps that we have access to for Navia. While she's an amazing Geo DPS, I'm still using her a lot in the Abyss, especially as, recently she's been helping me with a lot of Abyss clear. I know that there are many other different team comps that you usually use for Navia, so if you do have any recommendation, feel free to leave it down in the comment sections, as I always love to discuss different team comps. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on my future Genshin Impact videos. With that, I wish you a super day, and I'll catch you on my next video.